So hello and welcome. I'm Frederick Dunn, and this is The Way to Bee. These aren't bees. These are paper wasps, yellow jacket wasps. And on August the 17th, my grandson noticed this paper wasp nest hanging in a dawn redwood tree, just about eye level. So that's got my attention. I thought, what a great opportunity to make a video about it and show these wasps and get up close. So these sequences right here were shot with my phone. But the weather was taking a turn. So I decided, let's get some shots in. We'll come back later and get closer video with better equipment and show the details of a yellow jacket wasp nest. Now this time of year, August, and this is in the northeastern part of the United States, the state of Pennsylvania, we have goldenrod blooming, cosmos, sunflowers, those are raspberries in the background, elderberries, and so on. This is a time when honeybees are going everywhere, but it's also a time when wasps are maturing and their nests are big enough that they start to get noticed. So this may be happening to you too. You'll see a paper wasp nest that seems to appear overnight, but they've actually been building up just like honeybees all season long. And this is a critical time for them. So on the 17th, we had storms come through, and I'm not sure what happened to the nest, but the wasp nest actually ended up out of the tree. But I just want to get you in close and show you a little bit about the paper wasps and yellow jacket wasps in particular. There are a lot of different species of wasps in this part of the country, and it's important to be aware of them. They are in a constant state of repair because their nest is made out of cellulose. So you can see lower right there on the nest, there is a worker yellow jacket working away on the edges of the nest and continually repairing it. Rain, wind, and everything else take their toll, which is why you generally find these nests sheltered by trees. And in this case, again, I'll say it, it's a dawn redwood tree. The problem with this nest is they're really low to the ground. You can also see that they've got vents and openings facing the interior, which is pretty smart on their part. You see them coming and going, even in the rain. They fly colder than honeybees do. They actually go out and collect meat animal protein. So they're getting worms and pests. They're wonderful control measures for a lot of pests that attack your garden and so on. Not normally much of a threat, but they're only 100 feet from the bee yard, and they're at eye level on this tree where a lot of people walk. But this is what happened. We come back out and they're on the ground. I did see evidence that a skunk had been feeding on them too. So there should be hundreds of wasps in this nest, but there weren't. They're reduced to just maybe 100 specimens. And I'm looking for the queen. So here's a segment of what would be the brood area. We're looking at the top of it here. If you flipped it over, we will see that they're hexagonal cells. And this is what's left on the branch on the redwood tree. So this is the 21st of August. And they're trying to repair it, but you know what they need? They need a queen. If they don't have a queen, they're pretty much doomed because they can't reproduce. Only the queen would be laying eggs. And even though they instinctively set about repairing the nest where it was attached to this branch, they have to have a queen to continue. So I decided I'll do an experiment now. Why not play around with them? They're just yellow jackets. So I've got these long tongs. I'm wearing nitrile gloves, which I want to tell you in advance, do not adequately protect your hands from stings. So they just help me get a grip on things, and these are the remnants of the nest that were spread out over probably a 50-foot span in their little dirt pockets in the ground. So we know a skunk was feeding on them. The mystery is, did the storm knock them out of the tree, or did a skunk actually somehow get them off of that branch and onto the ground? Because skunks are great for cleanup. We were just walking around picking up the bits and pieces of cellulose when this was discovered. They're alive, they're under it, so I decided I'll do an experiment. Let's stick them in this suet cage, put all the bits and pieces in there, collect as many of them as we can. We're going to hang them back up on the tree branch, and I want to see if we can get them to maybe recycle the cellulose here. I don't know. Maybe they'll move into this actual suet cage and build up around it. We've seen yellow jacket wasps build into all kinds of things. This one landed on me here. And I've also found that if you move slow and steady, they kind of don't really know how to go after you. If you've got a friend that jumps up and runs away fast, you can bet they're going to be stung right away. The tongs are handy. Grabbing little bits and pieces of grass here. I'm going to drop them in. Now this is an experiment. I've never done this before. I have relocated other wasp species. Usually we don't relocate the yellow jacket wasp because, let's just face it, they have an attitude. They also like to sting a lot. In fact, they're doing their best to sting me right now. It gets worse later on, so let's just get a bunch of it in here, and then I'll give you a nice close-up look, and you can also hear what I heard. And you'll experience what it feels like to have angry yellow jacket wasps all around your head. So first, let's just get as much as we can. It actually feels kind of like really soft newspaper, I guess would be a good description. And I did collect a bag of it too, so I'm not sticking it all in here. I got a bunch of it just for educational purposes, so that we can share with people. They can feel what the nest material's like. Because look, it really does look like discarded tissue paper. And you can see all the different color stripes and layers in it, because the cellulose that they gather is from usually dead wood or unfinished wood from a lot of different sources. And they bring that back, mix it with their saliva, and that's how they make their paper nest. It doesn't seem very durable, and in this case it definitely wasn't, because it ended up on the ground, and then they were just open prey to skunks. I personally like skunks. One of the reasons I like them is because they eat things like these yellow jackets. Now this is the brood area, so I'm hoping to find the queen. If she would be anywhere on these remnants, it would be here. There is the queen, top left. She's larger than the others. Her abdomen is larger, and look at the distinctive spots in the yellow stripes on her abdomen. So I think I've got her. And she's necessary. If this nest wants to survive at all, they're going to need her to lay eggs. Now, I don't know if she would have done that on the ground, but their chances are poor. First of all, my sister-in-law would have mowed through here. The second part is the skunk is definitely going to return and hunt for the remnants, so we're going to get them off the ground. But she's not very cooperative. And hang them on the branch, but if you watch here carefully, she actually scoots out. So I think she left. The good news is she can fly, so I'm hoping that she rejoins them later. And I'm not sure what you think is going to happen here, but I think this is just going to be a fun way to mess with yellow jackets. So who doesn't want to do that? Now I do want to share with you that if you're planning to do this yourself, you want to wear protective clothing. So the nitrile gloves do not give my fingers very good protection at all, but I am wearing a protective jacket. I'm not playing around here. And I do have boots on. We don't want anything climbing up your pant legs and things like that, so protect yourself for sure. So here we've got some hexagonal cells, we've got some cellulose. Now let's just rejoin them with the part of the branch where they're trying to rebuild their original nest. Let's be honest, they don't want me around. So they come right at me like little bullets with their stingers out. They're stinging everything. They're stinging my camera. They're trying to get their stingers into my nitrile gloves, which, by the way, for some weird reason, they weren't able to do very well. So that's comforting, although it's not a good feeling because they do hit you full speed. And I'm going to walk away and come back later when they're more calm. So now it's later, and I'm sure they'll be happy to see me now because I gave them a chance to calm down, and now they won't come after me. I'm not right on that thought there, because as soon as you get close to their little nest area here, they're just not happy to see you. Now, I'm not the reason that their nest was torn off this tree branch. I'm just trying to share with other people exactly what they look like. They're doing all this great repair. They're feeding each other. Now, here's the thing, too. They have to get nectar from flowers, because normally where would they get the liquid substance that they eat? They get it from their own larvae. And if you notice, the larvae's gone because the skunk ate it. So now they have to start all over. Eggs, the eggs have to hatch into larvae, then they start feeding the larvae returns the favor by feeding the adult foragers. and on it will go. So I think their chances are very low. But if you look at this one here, about the 6 o'clock position there, look how hard it's chewing on that dead piece of plant matter there. I think it's gathering cellulose. I think they're actually trying to repair their stuff. Others are sitting around not doing much. Some are just trying to look intimidating, like they're on guard duty. But if you notice, the mandibles are closed. When they're really on guard duty, they open their mandibles like they're ready to bite you. They can feed on carrion too, by the way. Their little mandibles can actually bite bees apart. So, but the big threat from these yellow jackets for honeybee keepers this time of year is going to be as the resources slim down in the environment and they produce their replacement queens, they're going to be after nectar. So they're going to be putting pressure on beehives and trying to rob those resources. But you can see they actually started to build paper material against the grass and undergrowth there. So they were actually going to rebuild this thing on the ground. But we moved it, got them up on the tree branch. Let's revisit that. So they kind of moved out of the cage that I set up for them, but that's not terrible because I did bring the population closer, and they are focusing all of their efforts on the branch itself where it was previously attached, and look, they're making good progress. So what I plan to do, if all works out, we'll come back and check their progress. I'll even look into their hexagonal cells to see if the queen is present, if she's laying eggs, if the eggs are hatching into larvae, and then if they're feeding and expanding. If not, if they perish, I'll share that also. So at any rate, we're going to learn from this. I hope that you'll subscribe if you want to follow on this particular adventure here to see if they can reconstruct, see how friendly they get or not. I want to thank you for watching. I'm Frederick Dunn, and this has been a special episode of The Way to Bee.